Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Christian Hanna Horror. Today we're talking about the new Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray release of Rush Week. Now, this is the limited edition slipcover version, but you can get it with the regular version right now as well. So yeah, Rush Week. Now, here's a movie that I actually had not seen in a very long time. I think I watched this on YouTube years and years ago. And I remember really enjoying it, and I had vague memories. It was, like I said, it was probably like a decade ago. When it comes to, buying Vinegar Syndrome titles, it's, for me at this point, it's kind of like going to Walmart and going to that big bin of movies, sticking your hand down in there and just grabbing one. I don't do it often, but I do it, and sometimes I'm really happy, and sometimes I'm not, but that's kind of what Vinegar Syndrome is about. They just put out movies that they're cataloging movies that maybe haven't jumped to Blu-ray yet, and they're keeping physical media alive, and I love them for that. Rush Week was a very pleasant experience again. So let's talk a little bit about this Blu-ray. We'll get into the special features and the picture quality. So it's Rush Week at this college. They're trying to get all these new recruits to the fraternities. You've got the good fraternity that's wholesome and wants to do the right thing and make gentlemen, and you've got the other fraternity that's party animals and they want to have fun. Which fraternity would you probably join? And in the midst of this, you've got a couple of these girls that are taking these pictures for money. And it's this big dude taking pictures, and he's creepy, and he's got them dressing sexy next to corpses and dead-looking bodies. And, as they go home, they're attacked by this morbid, awesome, heavy metal-looking Grim Reaper guy that has this ridiculously cool axe, as you can see. It looks like something from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey on crack, And that's what happens with this movie. You've got this killer Grim Reaper guy stalking girls in the night, and I loved it. This is a really fun slasher movie. And then you've got our main character, and she's kind of like the journalism kid, the journalism student, and she's trying to figure out who's doing these killings. You've got a dean that doesn't seem to want to worry about it. He's like, we got to keep things cool at this college, blah, blah, blah. You've got the party animals that are just doing their thing. They don't know what's going on. And we've got to track down this killer. And that's Rush Week. Let's talk about what I really liked about this movie. What I really liked about Rush Week was this movie seemed to really have that perfect shade of gray that I love. Now, when it comes to me, I love movies that, specifically slasher movies, that are a little goofy because I love horror comedy. But when the killer shows up, we're getting ready for business. And I thought Rush Week did that really well. When the Grim Reaper killer appears, there's no joke. It's serious. But, our characters are funny. They're college kids. They're having a good time. I loved that about Rush Week. That was something I really enjoyed. So it was the perfect shade of gray for me. And honestly, it was not a bad movie. Like, the company that made this, they show like the such and such entertainment that produced this film. I had never heard of it. I don't know what else they've done. But I was pleasantly surprised. This movie was shot very well. This movie was acted fairly well. There was nobody that was just like reading lines, so to speak. Everybody had their character, and they kind of stuck with it. I'll be honest with you, I was pretty impressed. I couldn't remember, because you got to understand, when I watched this on YouTube a decade ago, it was terrible quality. So this, Blu-ray, I mean, we'll get to the picture quality, but like, it really showed that everybody did a good job, and they were in their element, and they were having fun, and I really liked that. There are some familiar faces in here. For all of you sexual deviants out there that loved Sheriff Meeker's daughter in Halloween 4, she's in this movie. And it's not very long, but you do get to see what you didn't get to see in Halloween 4, if you pick up my drift. You perverts. And there's a good bit of nudity in this slasher film. So if that's something that's important to you, check that off the list, In terms of gore, I gotta be honest, that's one thing I was surprised about, and I didn't really remember. There wasn't a ton of gore in this, but it does happen closer to the end of the film. But that doesn't bother me. I just want to be entertained. I have one rule with movies, specifically horror movies. I want to be entertained. If I get bored, that's the only sin to me. I mean, it really is. So I didn't mind that there wasn't a whole lot of gore throughout the film. It really wasn't a bother to me at all, quite honestly. But I really enjoyed Rush Week. Really funny characters. Oh, also Joey, the fat kid from Friday 5, is in this movie. So you'll see some familiar faces. This is a late 80s slasher film. I think it's really fun. I think it has a lot of rewatch value. I really do. I can easily see myself putting this on tomorrow and still enjoying it all over again. Without spoiling anything, I mean, the final act is awesome. I really love the final act. Really cool boiler room scene stuff. Like stuff I would really have loved to have seen in the Nightmare franchise where we're just stuck in a boiler room and chases and stuff like that. You get that in this movie. Maybe a little Nightmare inspired, I would say. But yeah, great stuff, great scenes, great characters, very funny. Love the slasher in this movie. I mean, great looking character. I loved Rush Week. This is a diamond in the rough, like lower, I don't want to call it a lower tier slasher film, because quite honestly I think it's a pretty darn well made movie, but for in terms of popularity, this is a diamond in the rough lower tier slasher film that I definitely think is worth owning. I mean, you can trust me on this. I know if you're like me, you don't buy Vinegar Syndrome titles very often, but this is one you can go right ahead and grab. I really recommend Rush Week. It's very fun. Again, this is the version with the slipcover. So here's the slip and here's the Blu-ray of Rush Week, and you can get it just like this if you want. In terms of the picture quality, guys, whoa, it looked perfect. I mean, it's perfect. You have to give it a 5 out of 5. It's absolutely perfect. Or a 10 out of 10, whatever you want to call it, you know. In terms of the special features, there wasn't an overabundance, but they do have, first of all, it's a 2K scan from the 35mm inner positive. It looked, I mean, it's as good as it needs to look. Really good. Still Dean Hamilton, an interview with actor Dean Hamilton, who's pretty much a main character in the film. So 80s, an interview with actress Courtney Gebhardt, who is a supporting character in the movie. Great interviews, very insightful. They're very happy. It's like the characters that they portrayed in the movie, everybody had fun in this movie, and you could tell that the people that were filming this movie, they're still really cool people. And they had fun, and there's nothing to be embarrassed about because it's not a bad movie. I mean, it really is not a bad movie. Rush Week is a good slasher film. I really liked it. The only thing it lacks is a bunch of gore, but if that's not a problem for you, it's not a problem for me. I loved this movie. Rush Week was really cool. A big recommend for me in terms of getting some Vinegar Syndrome titles. So, yeah, I loved it, guys. Rush Week, I give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. I really liked it, you know. Again, high rewatch value. Some TNA, if you're into that. No judgment. Of course, I'm a guy, so you could take a guess on me. I loved the humor in it. Some really funny stuff in here, and I loved the slasher icon, as I'll call him, the Grim Reaper in here. Great look. I loved it. So, guys, that's Rush Week from Vinegar Syndrome. Definitely recommend picking this up, guys. Let me know if you've seen Rush Week. Let me know your thoughts on it. Again, let me know if this video entices you to pick up Rush Week. Big recommend from me. Thank you guys for watching. This is Christian Hanna Horror.